Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Great article by CNET. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. This will be a longer video, so make sure you guys grab your snacks, popcorn, cotton candy, whatever it is, dinner, protein. Make sure you guys grab it, and let's get into the video. So most of you by now should be aware that T-Mobile is raising price. I put out a video 2 days ago. I put out a post on X on an exclusive report that T-Mobile was going to start notifying customers of a price increase starting today. Most of you should be aware of that. So what I wanted to talk about more in this video is where is T-Mobile going over the next few years? I know we got guidance. We know their growth, we know their numbers, but where are they going over the next few years, right? We already understand very well that the Un-carrier is done. It's gone, it's out of here. We knew that last year, we knew that the year before. Some of you knew it when the merger closed, that the Un-carrier was finished. So what's next for T-Mobile, right? We see them increase price. Now they're doing it. They did it last year to some accounts. This is, like I stated this morning, this is a continuation of the increases of last year. The accounts that didn't get touched last year are getting touched this year. The accounts that got increased last year are not getting increased this year, except if you only got the $2 increase for certain watch lines or something like that. Then you are getting increased on your voice lines. If you got the voice line increase of $5 last year, you are not getting the increase this year, right? So what's next for T-Mobile? Why are we seeing the increases? As I've stated before, and we will likely see more of these types of increases moving forward from T-Mobile, right? So as I've stated before, it's for competitive reasons. T-Mobile will tell you it's for price increases over the last several years, tariffs. I mean, they're going to tell you everything to justify the price increase, but why are they actually increasing price, right? There's several reasons, and tariffs and other things increasing. Of course, they play a factor in it, but it's not the overall story. So T-Mobile has to become more competitive on margins, right? Free cash flow. And they're already doing well there, but they have to make more money. They have to be ultra competitive now with their competitors because of certain things that are coming up, right? T-Mobile now has to feed the shareholders, right? They're doing dividend and buybacks. They also have to fuel the network, right? So if there's a spectrum, and it's anticipated that there's going to be, under this Republican administration, under this Trump administration, there is an anticipation that there's going to be spectrum in the pipeline, and lots of that spectrum in the pipeline over the next 4 years. So you have to be financially ready to compete at these auctions. And there's only 3 carriers, right? I know there's Dish, but if Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile get into a bidding war, there ain't much Dish is going to get the scraps. That's all Dish is going to be able to compete for. I'm just being honest. Dish is only going to be able to compete for the scraps when Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile are very likely going to get into a bidding war at the up-and-coming auctions that are coming up, right? Maybe not the first few ones like AWS, and that's probably going to go to AT&T, right? T-Mobile is currently they're in deals, right? They're waiting for US Cellular to close. They're waiting for Metronet. They're not going to load up on more spectrum, right? That's gonna put the spotlight on them. That's gonna cause the spectrum screen to be looked at. So they're not going to do that, right? Verizon, they say they have enough C-band spectrum. It's generational spectrum. So I don't anticipate them to go after AWS. But AT&T, I fully expect them to go after that AWS spectrum that's being made available currently, right? Or that the FCC is currently trying to auction off, and they're making headwinds towards that, right? So that's one thing that you have to look at. T-Mobile has to be financially stronger. And at their current growth and where free cash flow is, and having to pay shareholders dividends, and they have to subsidize as well some of that Starlink cost, right? There's no way that upfront they're going to gain tens of millions of customers that are going to join it at that price point. That's just not realistic. So they have to subsidize somewhere. They're subsidizing some of that cost. And yeah, over time, you might gain more and more and more customers that will show interest in the Starlink and that will buy up the rate card and add-ons and do the add-on, right? But for now, it's just not realistic. So T-Mobile is going to have to subsidize some of that satellite cost. So overall, financially, T-Mobile just has to get stronger, right? And then whatever future moves they want to make, trust me on this. There have been some changes, right? T-Mobile has been relatively quiet, right? We will hear them get loud once the US Cellular deal closes. They got loud with the Starlink situation, so we understand that. Metronet, Lumos, all of that is expected to close within this calendar year, right? So we will hear them get loud and stuff again, but they've been relatively quiet. Mike Sievert even handed over, not necessarily the reins to the COO, but the new COO that they're sending in from Deutsche Telekom. All of the T-Mobile leadership team is reporting into him. So he's like the new boss, so to speak, for any lower T-Mobile leadership lower than Mike Sievert, right? The COO is still going to report to Mike Sievert, but most of the day-to-day stuff is going to be handled by the new COO, freeing up more time for Mike Sievert to make different business decisions and get into different rooms. So there's going to be some stuff coming from T-Mobile. Trust me on that. Over the next several months, we're going to hear a lot of rumors and stuff, and I think it's going to have to do with cable. I'm still on the cable train. Them getting into Comcast Charter Spectrum deal, something along those lines. I think we will start hearing rumors over the next couple of months. And I think that's what Mike Sievert is working on behind the scenes in a very quiet way, right? We haven't really heard of Mike Sievert. He wasn't a part of the first responder event that they hosted, right, in New York City. He wasn't part of that. He should have been there, in my opinion. I know they said that he wanted to give the other leadership some time to shine, but he should have been there. That was a big event for first responders and everyone involved. And they got the New York City CTO in the contract. Mike Sievert should have been there. He should have had like a small segment, right? Maybe he should have had the introduction statements and prepared remarks, but he was not there. So I'm telling you guys right now, behind the scenes, he's cooking up something. We don't know what it is yet publicly. We can speculate, but he's cooking up. And T-Mobile making these pricing adjustments, they're adjusting for everything. It's not just, oh, we need to increase price because of this, and this. No, it's several different things. Like I said, shareholders, dividend, spectrum in the pipeline, and then subsidizing some of the Starlink cost. And then you have something cooking up behind the scenes that we are not aware of yet. They're cooking up something big. I have a strong feeling. Mike Sievert would not take a step back, have a COO in place if he wasn't doing something big. And that's kind of how it went, right? Like I said in the video before the price increase was officially announced, T-Mobile's behavior is always very similar. For those of you who remember the behavior of the T-Mobile merger before that got announced, Mike Sievert became the COO. He was the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. He then became the COO. And he was running John's day-to-day at the time. Every leadership person below the COO was reporting into Mike Sievert. Why? So John could work on some stuff behind the scenes. What did John work on at that time? He worked on the Sprint merger, getting that across the finish line, right? First, you have to get the deal structured and who's going to get what, right? So then it was announced publicly, and then John was back and forth, Washington, D.C., courts, whoever, Sprint, headquarters, whoever they needed to go, John was free because everybody was reporting into Mike Sievert. And it's now again, happening in a similar fashion. There's a COO now that came out of nowhere. Yes, he's with Deutsche Telekom, but he came out of nowhere. And now everyone is reporting into him, and he's the new day-to-day, the boss, so to speak, so Mike Sievert can work on something behind the scenes. They are structuring something big. I'm just putting it in this video as a reference point, but they are structuring something big behind the scenes. And I think it's a cable play. I really think it's a cable play. I'm still on that train because anything else would be smaller. And like I said, it just takes too long to get these across the finish line. Metronet and Lumos, in my opinion, they're too small of a deal to take this long to get across the finish line. T-Mobile's not even buying the whole company. They're just a 50% stakeholder in the company. It shouldn't take this long, in my opinion, to get something like this across the finish line, right? The Frontier deal, as an example, the Verizon Frontier deal, I agree. That one should take a little while longer because Verizon's buying the entire asset. They're buying the entire company. But the T-Mobile deals, they're way smaller. They should not take this long to get across the finish line. So that's kind of where I think now T-Mobile's like, they're over it. They're just going to make one big purchase in the future. It's probably going to be maybe an all-stock deal, however it's structured. But I really, really think that's what Mike Sievert is doing behind the scenes. And I'm kind of linking the price increases towards that as well, right? They have to be financially strong. And for those of you who want to see a CapEx increase in the future, who want to see the network get better, who want to see more reliability, more spectrum, more generators at sites, right? You're going to have to continue to eat those price increases. It's just how it has to be. Now, I'm not saying that these are going to be excessively happening every year. Maybe, who knows, right? But it's something that T-Mobile has to implement now because of where the company is positioned today. They're not a small player anymore, and they're not this huge conglomerate either. They're getting bigger, and they're big now, but they're not, even though their market cap is huge, if you look at their asset base, they still don't have what Verizon and AT&T have today. If you compare assets, right? They still lease a good amount of their spectrum. They still lease their fiber. So they really don't own much. They're trying, right? They're buying up more N41 licenses instead of leasing. They're doing that. But all of that requires more money. And that's why I truly believe you're seeing more of these type of price increases. And you will very likely see them moving forward, right? They're trying to support their overall business. Yes, they're very healthy, right? Look at their free cash flow. Look at their service revenues. It's healthy. They're going up by percentages, right? But you have to always have a future outlook if you're a business. You got to say, do I have enough money to buy X, Y, and Z? And the X, Y, and Z I mentioned, spectrum, subsidizing Starlink, getting cable perhaps, or whatever else they want to spend, right? Dividend, shareholders, and they even have money set aside for that. But like I said, you have to think about future. You have to think about the future. And only T-Mobile knows the numbers and percentages that they're seeing in the company, right? And they have to prepare to battle against Verizon and AT&T in a spectrum auction, for a bidding war, whatever it might turn into. T-Mobile has to be ready to compete. And before these price increases, right, they weren't really ready to do that. To some extent, yes, but they need more, right? They need more, and they're doing it. They're doing it. Yes, the newer customers are making up some of that because of how those plans are priced, but the legacy plans were priced so horribly that T-Mobile has to raise price. They have to. I mean, I've said this time and time again, but there's like people that have 12 lines on one account, and they're paying $100. It's ridiculous. And then there's some of those Sprint Kickstarter plans, and I remember at the time Sprint was allowing regular customers to get employee lines on the employee discount. Like, that stuff is really hitting T-Mobile's bottom line big time. And there's only so much more that T-Mobile can grow into to help offset that. So they have to touch legacy, even if the legacy leaves. And trust me, I will throw this in for those of you who stuck around for the long haul in this video. There were so many calls to Care today. So many people in the queue that they had to start sending accounts to escalation for a callback on Monday. That's how many people were calling in, because these accounts, they need to be reviewed to some extent. If you have a person that has 5-6 lines with you and they're paying you every month and they have phones financed and, and they got the increase, let's say $30, right? Are you really going to lose that entire account for an additional $30 when they're already paying you a decent amount, right? So something like that has to be looked at. Those accounts have to be sent to escalation, because you risk losing that customer to Verizon or AT&T because of $30. That's not worth it, right? So you have to send some of those accounts to escalation. You just have to. And that's how many people were calling in. The call reps are getting a $25 spiff, right? And overtime and you name it, because of how much call volume is coming in the line and in the queue because of this price increase. And by the end of today, and that will probably still linger into tomorrow and the day after, because they are still sending out messages. People are still getting the messages through the day. So that's just something I wanted to address in this video. Where's T-Mobile going with this, right? People are saying, well, I'm paying more now, but I don't really have that premium experience just yet. And some of you might not be able to justify the increase. Like, if you haven't seen much activity on the network and, right, you can't justify it, then you have to do what you have to do. You have to vote with your wallet. We already understand that. I've told you guys that many of times. You guys choose to be who you want to be with. You're not forced to stay with T-Mobile. You're not forced to stay with any carrier. You can shop around, look for second opinions, MVNOs, prepaid, whatever you need to do to do what's best for you. Sometimes you do have to do what's best for you. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. I know this was a longer video, but let me know your thoughts. Like I said, it's a situation that's not good, because Verizon and AT&T are doing the same. But T-Mobile has to stay competitive. They can't let Verizon and AT&T continue to raise price and be stronger financially and not keep up. Because, like I said, there's spectrum coming due in the pipeline. There's other business ventures, M&A, that T-Mobile needs to be competitive for. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.